Voiceover In and Out. We have a very specific task in mind here at the moment that I want to talk with you about. And then once we're finished with that, depending on how long it takes, we'll move on to the next topic, which is Safari, and we'll start looking at surfing the web with VoiceOver in iOS. But before we can do that, we need to finish up this discussion about photos, and really specifically, we need to talk about camera and live text. We've talked about photos already. You can listen to that up on YouTube. And again, it was part of the app Bonanza, and we did demonstrate photos. We talked about how to create a simple slideshow, how to use memories, and you know, perhaps arguably most important for us voiceover users is how to identify the photos by listening to the descriptions. We went over, you know, the hardware and software requirements for that, and remember that the photos can also be labeled using markup. I didn't really get into live photos very much, other than to indicate to you that a live photo is a photo that has a little bit of video basically appended to it. On either end of the photo is a 1 second video basically. And so you can hear the audio, and you can, if you can see the motion as well. And this can be very helpful if you're still not sure, you know, if you have a photo and it says to you, a person holding, whatever it says, and it's a good description, but you're still thinking to yourself, I'm still not 100% sure what that is. Well, maybe the context will be revealed to you if you play the live photo. So I want to show you how to do that just as a quick little bonus thing. Well, I think it's an important thing, and we just didn't get time to do it. So I've got my iPad right here. I'm going to go into photos, and I'll turn the volume up in a moment, but first, I want to try to quickly find a live photo. How do you know if you're taking a live photo? In the camera app, there is a toggle for live photos, and you can turn those on and off. Would there be any reason not to use live photos? Well, some of the photo modes like portrait, which are known for really, really high quality photos of people and so forth, those are not going to be live photos, okay? And also, you can't do certain editing, like you can't remove red eye as easily from a live photo. That's not really an option as well. And of course, not everybody can view it. Now, if you send a live photo to a non-Apple user, they will get a standard photo. So it's not going to give them an error or something. They will actually get the photo, but they're not going to get the benefits of the live photo. So it's a case-by-case thing. A lot of people turn it off when they don't really want to use it, and then they just turn it back on when they do. As I said, it's right in the camera app, so you can do it on the fly. And some people ask, well, how much storage space does a live photo take up? Basically, the accepted wisdom is that a live photo is 2 regular photos as far as megabytes in storage size. So whatever the photo would be, just a standard photo would be like 2 of them. So not bad, not something to be too worried about. So I'm going to attempt. It says it's just a black background with nothing else. So I wonder if it was dark and I was just testing something. I don't know what the sound's going to be like, but you double tap on the photo to open it up, and you're on the back button.
Back button.
And you swipe right.
October 29th, share button, favored, info, but delete, edit, but live photo, October 29th. Actions available, more content available.
And then
live photo.
I believe that's where you're going to do this. You're going to double tap and hold where it says live photo. You're going to double tap and hold.
Text detected, back button.
Let me try. It must be the first one. Yeah, it's where it just says live photo here. Let's try that. Yeah, I misled you because it was the first one. But it's very, very soft. And that one doesn't really have anything meaningful in it that we can hear. So it does sound like it was a test that I was doing or an accidental photo. But you get the idea. I'll keep looking here maybe in over the break and see if I can find one that does have. There's one more right beside that one that I'll try and see if it does. I know what this picture is. by the description. And so I thought that maybe it would have, some sort of sound to it, but yeah, it was basically just air in the, the ambient noise of the room in the background. But you get the idea, as Lynn described it. If somebody is talking in the photo, and if you're taking a live photo, I mean, you can sort of plan that on purpose too. And you can say something there along with it. But, again, if you're looking at identifying photos, this serves a very practical purpose, because it's a lot of fun, and there's, potentially a lot of sentimental value with it and so forth. But it also has a very practical application, which is for us, if we still are not sure based upon the description what the photo is, this is a great way to sort of have that reinforced. Now, again, the one that I had, there was sound. I don't know if you heard it, but it was just basically, the air conditioning or heating system in the room or whatever it was. It wasn't anybody saying anything or whatever. But it is a very, very cool feature. And you can choose what's considered the key frame. Like I said to you, that it has a second before and a second after the photo that you've taken. But you can actually go in and you can edit the what is the key frame. You can say, well, maybe the first second was actually better than what I really intended to take as the photo. So you can adjust that. And you can also add live photo effects, different, loop and bounce and things of this nature. So it's a cool feature that I wanted to make sure that we talked about a little bit. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the camera, and we're going to have a specific and particular emphasis on live text in a moment. But I just want to go over a little bit about the cameras with you. I have done some picture taking by myself, and VoiceOver will give you some feedback. So when you launch the camera app, okay, there are a lot of controls in the camera app. You have options for the camera mode, and you have things like, photo, portrait, video, square, pano, which is panoramic. You have a bunch of different options here. I'll talk about a few of them, just so you know what they do and how they can be used. But basically, that's a picker you can swipe up and down on. You can also toggle between the front and rear cameras with a button, okay? And VoiceOver will tell you whether it's the back-facing or front-facing camera that you're using. So, of course, if you want to, take a selfie, a picture of yourself or, somebody standing with you or anything of that nature, that's going to be the front-facing camera. You'll have options for flash if you have a device that supports it. And most of them do. Most of them do now. You're going to have options for a timer. This timer feature is for like self photo. If you and a family member or whatever, and you want to be in the photo, and you can choose from 3 seconds, 10 seconds. So that's another button in the camera. Then, of course, there's the take picture button, which changes to record video if it's that particular mode, the video mode. So let me just talk briefly about some of these modes that I want to highlight here. You have the regular photo mode, which can work with or without live photos. You have the portrait mode, which I've kind of described as a really good mode for taking pictures of people. Now, they did add portrait mode for other like subjects like animals and so forth. I believe that was supported on the iPhone 12 and newer, I think. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's right. But it was really introduced as a great way to take pictures of actual human subjects, and is very, very high quality. When my son saw it, it was introduced, I think, on the iPhone 10R. He couldn't believe, we were doing some Christmas shopping actually, and we were waiting to get family photos taken. And he was playing with it, and he said, "Dad, that's as good as, photos I've seen from, professional hundreds of dollar cameras." I mean, it was, that's back on the 10R, and how far we've come since then. especially with the 13 even. So that's a really great mode to use. Another one well, video obviously is pretty much self-explanatory, right? And you're not limited to recording lengths. I mean, you can record as long as you have the space to support, And if you read our document on iCloud, you know that you can have your photos and videos stored in iCloud, which while it does take up your personal space, you can upgrade that iCloud storage all the way to 4 terabytes. And then the really good part is that what you do on one device in the Photos app will be reflected and synced with all of your devices. That includes taking photos in the camera, videos, stuff people send you, editing of photos, deleting of. So it's all of that stuff. So we highly recommend using iCloud for photos. A couple of the other camera modes that I want to talk about that are kind of neat. One in particular called Timelapse. And this is really neat, and it's a fun thing to do, but it also can be used in fields like education, for example. Timelapse allows you to take very, very slow, basically imperceptible processes or sequences and then speed them up to something that can be viewed in just a few seconds. So this might be like the opening of a flower in the morning, right? Or it could be, an object growing, a plant growing or something else. People have also talked about using it to observe like traffic, which is not, of course, as slow as those other things, but it's still something that would be interesting to look at from a sped up perspective, right? And there's a lot of other examples that we could probably think of, a lot of scientific experiments, for sure. And so the way this works, you're going to, if possible, now, of course, some of this stuff being outside, I don't know how feasible it would be to plug it in, but you're going to probably want to plug in your device if at all possible. And there's a limit, and I forget what it is now. I want to say maybe it's 30 hours of recording, I think is the maximum limit, but I honestly forget. But that seems to be what's ringing a bell in my mind is 30 hours. So you can just let this thing record in time-lapse mode for that length of time or up to that length of time. And then you can play it back and the whole thing plays back in just a few seconds. And you can see that process really sped up into something very cool and very meaningful. So that's the time-lapse mode. Very, very neat mode. And again, you're going to want to make sure you have the storage space for that. And then the opposite of that is slow-mo. Of course, that's another mode. So you can slow down what you're videoing. If you hold down the shutter button, which is on screen that says take picture, you double tap and hold, you can do burst mode photos. It rapidly takes a series of photos. Also, I want to point out about the camera that it has support for pressing the volume button. So you can take a picture with the volume button as well. So those are some overviews of various camera modes. There are others, and I would encourage you to play with this. But what I really want to talk about is two other things. I want to talk about LiveText in a moment. But before we get to that, I just want to say, it wasn't so many years ago that the prevailing way of thinking was, well, if I'm blind, I don't have any need to take pictures or any business taking pictures. And of course, when you really stop and think about it, that's pretty ridiculous because as folks who cannot see, maybe we can't look at the pictures, but if they're properly described to us as a person could describe them, or now even as Voiceover can often describe them, we can really appreciate them. And we can interact with the sighted world, our family, our friends, our coworkers who can see and share photos and videos with them that they might like to see. You're out and about somewhere, even if you can't see, and somebody says, hey, how's your family doing? Oh, well, my kids are really growing up. Well, I'd love to see a picture. Well, show them a picture, So, and there's a lot of other reasons, of course, scanning text into documents, which we're going to demonstrate with LiveText. But even before LiveText was introduced, people were doing it with, Seeing AI, KNFB Reader, all these different OCR type apps or, what have you, taking pictures of their environment, their surroundings as they walk, scanning labels on food items and So I mean, we can see very, very useful benefits to having the the camera and being able to use it even as a person who cannot see. This live text has really, really become a game changer, and I think it's only at the beginning, because I don't even think a lot of people realize how good or how powerful it is. And so I want to talk about live text. Live text is designed to be a way for anybody, whether they're voiceover users or not, to quickly scan text and bring it into their device as a form that is completely editable, meaning that when that text is scanned in, it's not scanned as an image. It is scanned as actual, real characters, just like in a message, a note, or a word processing document. And because it is scanned in as real characters, we call that OCR, optical character recognition. And because it is OCR, it's killer text. It's fully editable, meaning you can, change what it says. You can delete, add to, copy, paste, translate it with the translation features in iOS, and you can use it anywhere you want. Now, this was advertised and sort of demonstrated as, being a great option for those who want to be able to, for example, quickly get a phone number. You see a number on a billboard. You want to call that number. You see a website on a sign. You quickly want to go to that website. But I'm telling you, the things that it enables for us who cannot see, I mean, it's truly amazing. First of all, there are two ways to use this live text, okay? The one way to do it is using the camera. And in the camera app, if you hold your device up to something that you know has text or contains text, right? VoiceOver will tell you that text is detected, and you can quickly, there's a button on the screen that will appear that says detect text. And you can double tap on that. And once you do, give it a couple seconds. And then you can swipe and you can read the text that is detected. You can copy that text to the clipboard and paste it somewhere else. And so it's a very, very easy way to read the text on different objects. Now, in addition to that, if you have photos that already have text in them, I think we showed you that VoiceOver will detect the text in those photos as well, as long as you have a recent enough device and you have the image recognition and text recognition features enabled. The other way to access live text is directly from an edit field. So to my knowledge, it's basically any edit field that accepts text. I've not actually done this in Apple Pages because I've just not had the need to. I love Apple Pages and I use it frequently, but I haven't used it in that way, but I assume that it works there. But it certainly works in Notes. I've done it there. In Messages, any place that accepts text, you should be able to do this. And this is another way to do it. We've talked about a couple of ways. We said the camera. You could do it in the camera with the detect text button. You could do it in directly from photos by, a photo that already has text in it. And then in an edit field, let's say you create a new note and you double tap on your edit field. Now, there are two options here. You can long press, which is, the double tap and hold gesture, or triple tap for folks who prefer it. Or you can use the rotor. When you're in that edit field, you can set the rotor to edit and swipe up and down. And one of the options you're going to get is scan text. So when you do that, when you choose scan text from the rotor, or you long press and you get a context menu that has paste and different things, it'll have an option that says text from camera. And when you pick that option, what's going to happen is the device is going to be ready to receive text. And again, you'll hold the phone up to an object, and we'll talk about how to hold the phone in a few minutes here. But you hold it up to an object that contains text. And you will hear a very quiet, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it when I demo this, over the phone here during the Zoom call, but you hear a little sound that indicates that text is being recognized and sort of inserted. It's just this little whoop whoop, whoop sound like that. Okay, very not too loud, but if you're listening, you'll hear it. And once you do, you swipe over to the insert button. As long as there's text that's being detected, you can hit insert. If there's not, the button remains dimmed and unavailable, and you have to try to adjust your camera to where it will see the text. And once you hit insert, that's it. It puts the text directly into the edit field. I think what might make sense here, even though I love the original sound feature in Zoom, but I think what might make sense is to use a separate device so that I have a little bit more control over it, because I have my daughter's iPhone here, and I'll just use it to scan the screen of my iPad. Okay, so I'm just going to try to demo this. I don't do this a lot, most of the time I just have my family tell me what things are. Praise God. But this is a feature that is incredibly useful. So it may take me a couple tries to get it into a position that is just right. We're going to scan the screen of my iPad. You can hear my iPad here.
Search field.
I opened up the settings app.
Dictate. Matthew Volbrecht. Airplane mode. Wi-Fi. Home.
You recognize that, right? Okay, that's your settings. So I've got my daughter's phone here.
Message. iMessage. Text field. Message. Text field is editing.
Okay, so I've double tapped on the edit field like I'm going to type a message. But instead of typing, I'm going to long press. My iPad is awake.
Bluetooth on.
In settings, we're going to try to just get some settings scanned in here. So let's do long press.
Text from camera. Menu item.
And that's the one I want.
Messages. Text from camera. Button. Text from camera.
Double tap, and we're going to try to position this, okay? I'm not going to talk much while I'm doing it because...
Text. Slow down. Slow down.
I'm just moving it a little.
Insert. Dimmed. Insert. Dimmed. But slow down. Insert. Dimmed. Button. Insert.
Cellular data.
Insert. Dimmed. Insert. Button. Slow down. Insert. Dimmed. Insert. Button. Insert. Dimmed.
Yeah, I think
button.
I think I got it. Yep. Let's see what it got.
Message. Text field is editing. Screen time. Character mode. Insert.
Okay. It got the word screen time from my settings, which is a setting, of course.
Personal notification sound focus screen time button.
There it is, and you can hear in the edit field.
Message. Text field is editing. Screen time.
It got the word screen time,
Return.
and I can show you that
Word time. Screen. Screen time.
that's regular text.
Character E-M-I cap T.
I'm just moving with the rotor
Space N-E.
backwards.
E-R cap S C-R-E-E-N space cap T-I-M-E.
Regular text. I can delete it.
Mention. Misspell. Edit. Select. And take. Undo. Select all. Screen selection deleted.
We deleted it. And so that
33 unread. Back but 33. Weather. Widget. Stack.
okay.
30. Voiceover off.
So there you go, guys. So that's how easy it is to scan. And I mean, you can imagine, right, the possibilities here. I mean, if you're talking about, what is this thing that I am holding? Is it a can of soup, or is it a can of corn? Or how do I cook this frozen pizza? What are the instructions? Or, what is this box, or this, what does this, I got this in the mail. What is this letter? I used it a couple weeks ago because my family was already asleep. I'm always up late, and it was a school and work night, so they went to bed, and I found what I thought was shaving gel, maybe, because I know I had thought I had gotten some new stuff, and thought it maybe was that, and I'm going to shave, and I better check because I don't really recognize this tube, so I'm going to verify that it is indeed shave gel. And so I scanned it, and it told me it was actually moisturizing lotion. So you can just imagine all the practical use cases for this. Now, of course, there are caveats. And it's not anything against Apple. It's just the nature of OCR right now, where the technology is. For one thing, it is perhaps difficult with large blocks of text. You saw that when I did my scan there, I only got two words, okay, but one settings item, screen time. Now, I have gotten more than that sometimes when I've demoed this and used it, but that in that particular case, this time I only got one word where I had the camera positioned. So if you had a giant billboard or like a menu, a lot of people talk about like those menus at, food court kinds of kiosk sort of things, or digital kiosks, it may take some detective work to get everything that's on there, right? Another thing is the lighting in the room that you're in can have a drastic effect on this, of course, as you would imagine. And of course, where you hold the camera is a big deal. And I am not probably the best person to give advice on that. But I can tell you one thing that I have learned that is very important for using the camera, for text, for photos, even for FaceTime with the front True Depth camera. You don't want to be too close to the object you're trying to scan. You want a good arm's length distance, not necessarily holding your arm clear out as far straight out as it'll go away from your body, but just a couple of feet to a few feet, because it's sort of counterintuitive to those of us who can't see. Because if you want somebody to hear you better, if you're talking softly, you get closer to them, right? Well, you would think that with a photo, but what it does is it narrows the field of vision so much that you can't get a proper picture of what it is that the subject that you're trying to get. So you often have to back away a little bit from the object or pull the phone back a little bit. In my case, I was going to move the iPad a little bit away from me, in that demo a few minutes ago. So this is something I can tell you as a tip for, using the camera, regardless of the scenario in which you're using it, text, photos, otherwise. Okay. Some of you are better at this already, because you do it a lot. Some of you use your scanning stand and you scan, mail all the time and stuff. So this is probably a piece of cake for you. And, it's something that you could easily do. What my goal here, though, was to show you how powerful this is, how easy it is to use, very simple and yet extremely powerful. And quite frankly, it really does negate the need for a separate OCR app. Okay. Now, I don't want to offend anybody. There may be somebody that really likes their OCR app, and maybe there's something that app does that nothing else can do. And that's fine. You're free to use it. But I'm telling you, with the limited amount that I have tried these different OCR apps that many in the visually impaired community use, I've never found anything that I really liked. The closest I came was Prismo, which is not even an app designed for the blind. It's a sighted OCR app, quote unquote, if you want to use that very non-politically correct term. Okay. But you know what I mean? I apologize. But it was designed just as a mainstream app, right? And then it did also have voiceover compatibility, and it's called Prismo. And it is the only app of that kind that I even really came close to liking. And even it was something that I mostly only used in those cases where I really needed to, like somebody sent me an image-based PDF and I had to turn it into text. And that was about it. Okay. I've never found something I've truly liked until now with LiveText, because LiveText is so much easier. It's so simple. It's about as accurate as any OCR can be. Very rarely have I had issues with it at all. And anytime I have, it's usually me, not that, it's just the way I'm holding it or the lighting or something. And so this is a phenomenal feature. Okay. Now, the last point I want to make on all of this, when we're talking about text and photos and all this, is what about image-based PDFs now? What can you do with those? Do I still need an OCR app for those in iOS 15? And the answer is no, you do not. Image-based PDFs can be read by VoiceOver now. Okay. These will sometimes work if you just have your image recognition and text recognition turned on. But I've also found PDFs that still won't read that way, like websites that if you open up in Safari, a website that takes you to a page with an image-based PDF, What you then need to do is turn screen recognition on. All right. This is a perfect use case for the screen recognition feature. Screen recognition is not meant to be used normally in apps that are already accessible. Okay. If you ever have an app, and Trainer Lynn has talked about this, if you ever have an app where it doesn't, like messages or something, it doesn't seem to be reading what you're expecting and doesn't seem to be behaving properly, that's going to be the first thing you check is screen recognition. Because if you accidentally turn screen recognition on in an app that is already accessible, what'll often happen is it'll mess that up because it doesn't need that screen recognition. So you want to turn it back off and then everything will be fine. But in the case of a web page in Safari that is otherwise inaccessible, like an image-based PDF, turning screen recognition on will completely solve that problem. And what you do is we're assuming that screen recognition is in your rotor. We tell people turn the setting on, which gives you the ability to use it, but then add screen recognition to the rotor so that you can toggle it on or off whenever you need it. And what you got to do is you got to turn it, go to your image-based PDF, your inaccessible website, whatever, set the rotor to screen recognition and swipe up or down to turn it on. Now lift your hand. Don't just swipe, because VoiceOver really needs to redraw, kind of refresh. So you lift your hand up and you tap somewhere in the middle of the screen, and then you begin swiping left and right, and you will be amazed that it will actually read to you that image-based PDF. And I have a demo of that in that same module of the tutorial series for iOS 15. I took a menu from a local restaurant. It's kind of more of a food court, because it's like a travel stop that's associated with a hotel and stuff. And I just happened to know from experience that they had an image-based PDF for their menus. So I went in there and I turned screen recognition on, and you'll hear it read the menu. Okay. I mean, it really is incredible that we can do this now. So that is an overview, albeit a quick one, of the camera, of LiveText, of discussing screen recognition for image-based PDFs or other inaccessible apps in situations where that's important. I'd like to start talking about Safari. Now, Safari is the web browser on our iOS devices and on the Mac, really, and any Apple product. That's the web browser. It is very powerful, loads pages very quickly, has all the great features we'd expect from any good web browser, and a very strong emphasis on privacy and security. And of course, it works great with VoiceOver. There is a lot of talk about, can I really use an iPhone for filling out online forms and online shopping and all these different kinds of things? And the answer is yes. And we're going to try to show you some of that today, and probably have to go into Wednesday on this too. I prefer the iPad over the iPhone for a few reasons when it comes to Safari. And those reasons, include more screen real estate, more options for, working with pages and multiple pages and so forth. And also the fact that the iPad is a true desktop class web browser. And what that means is that on the iPhone, I may occasionally run into a website that says you can't do this on a mobile device. You have to visit this page on your computer. But on an iPad, I'm not going to run into that. The iPad actually, most websites actually view the iPad as a Mac. If you ever go to those websites that tell you what browser you're using and what device and so forth, a lot of them will actually say Mac, even though it's iPad OS. So you have true desktop class web browsing on the iPad. And this means, if you're using banking sites that want a desktop computer, or, something like WordPress.com instead of the app, or, Google Docs online instead of the app, it'll actually work for you. Now, I've said that, but I also want to say that if there's an app I oftentimes still prefer the app over the website. Now, I don't do it with like websites that I'm just reading. Like I visit websites like Mac Rumors and Cord Cutters News a lot and so forth. And I know there are apps that will actually aggregate those. Well, first of all, a lot of those have their own apps anyway. And also there are, like RSS apps that will aggregate all those. And I don't use that. That's just personal preference. There's nothing wrong with them. Trainer Cliff uses them and he loves them and they are great. I mean, I can see why people would use them. I just don't. For me, I just open up Safari and go to the website. But when it comes to banking apps, when it comes to shopping apps, like I love the Amazon app much more than I love the website. I use the Apple Store app rather than visiting apple.com, although I have purchased from store.apple.com as well. But, when there's an app, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find me using it probably. So, that's because the experience can really be designed from the ground up for an iPhone, an iPad, what have you. And it can take advantage of some unique features that might be a bit more difficult on the web browser side of things. So, not a bad idea to check the App Store. But having said that, it's entirely possible to use Safari for all of these different things. And as much as I said to you that I actually prefer web browsing on iPad because of the reasons I gave you, there's plenty of times that I use Safari on the iPhone, right? It's especially one of those things, I kind of feel like these each have a place in our lives. And the iPad is, one of my very favorite Apple devices. When we teach the iPad course, you're going to see that. And I use it to run my business. And I use it to do a lot of stuff with our family. And I'll watch movies and shows on it sometimes. And, a lot of other things. But then again, sometimes when maybe I am walking around and I want to look something up quick, or, I'm getting ready for bed and I've already put my iPad in the place where I keep it to charge it and stuff, then, it's so convenient to use the iPhone. And Safari is really excellent on the iPhone as well. We are going to take a look at Safari now.
Safari. Double tap to open.
Launch Safari.
Toolbar. Forward. Dimmed button. This video is unavailable.
Now I'm on
YouTube to search for more videos.
Okay. I am on Cord Cutters News right now.
Address.
At the very, very bottom of my screen, I have multiple buttons, sort of like you would have multiple tabs across the bottom of the screen in certain apps, but this app doesn't have tabs. Well, it does for websites, but the bottom of the screen is not tabs, it's buttons, okay? So let's look from the bottom left. It's kind of like a toolbar at the bottom.
Toolbar. Back button. Forward. Dimmed button. Share button. Show bookmarks button. Tabs button.
Okay.
Tabs button.
Those are our 5 buttons at the bottom. If you're interested in using...
Enter your email here. Ellipsis.
Sorry. If you're interested in using Safari on the iPad, please take our iPad course, because Safari is very similar, but yet in many ways quite different on the iPad than it is on the iPhone, and we want to explore them separately and give both of them fair airtime here. Just above the toolbar is the address and search bar.
Address. cordcuttersnews.com. Secure text field. Double tap to edit. Swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate.
Yeah, we got to talk about all this, okay? If I swipe to the left.
Page settings button.
Okay.
Swipe up or down. Add refresh button.
To the right is refresh.
Toolbar. Back.
And then we're taken to our toolbar. This is new. iOS 15 is the first iOS to have the address bar at the bottom of the screen. You can change this and have it displayed at the top as it used to be. I don't recommend it because there are new features available to us that choose to allow the address bar to be on the bottom, and there really is no difference. It's just a matter of getting used to it. It's been no problem for me. I like it where it is. It makes no difference. And what the rest of the page is then is the website that you're viewing. If I do a 4-finger single tap near the top of the screen, I can...
CapEx. Advertiser disclosure. Heading level. Many of the streaming service offers that appear on Cord Cutters.
Okay, and again, this is Cord Cutters News. So it is... it's displaying that, and I can just swipe left and right to read what's on this page. That's no problem.
Advertising. For more information, skip to content. In-page link.
That's an in-page link.
Swipe up or down to open site navigation. Button. Banner. Landmark. Collapse.
And it is collapsed. If I double tap that, presumably it's going to bring up a navigation menu.
Open site navigate. Created with Sketch. Black Friday. Link. News. Link. Reviews. Link.
And it did.
How to watch. Become a cord cutter.
Okay. So any of these things like, Black Friday or news or whatever, I could just double tap on and it's going to take me to whatever page that links to, right? And I can just keep reading by swiping left and right, or I can do a 2-finger swipe down to read from where I'm at. I can do a 2-finger swipe up to read from the very top. And I can also use my rotor. And the rotor, as far as I can remember, was first created for the web because there's so many ways we might want to navigate the websites that we visit, right? Like headings is one of my favorites because a lot of websites use headings, and headings are ways of organizing and separating information, keeping relevant information together. And so I often like to use headings. So I'll set my rotor to headings. It might already be on headings. I don't know. So if I'm not on headings, I can just,
text selection, headings, links,
turn the rotor.
Form controls.
Okay.
Links, headings.
Then we get to
headings.
And listen to that. It even tells me, I forgot about that.
Links. 57 links. Form controls. 15 form controls. Links, headings. 10 headings.
So see, it even tells me how many links there are, how many headings when I turn the rotor. So my rotor's where I want it. It's on headings. I can swipe up to go to the previous heading and swipe down to go to the next one.
When to watch. Heading level 2.
That was a swipe down.
Adele One Night Only. Heading level 2.
That was another swipe down.
How to watch. Adele One Night Only.
And I know what the problem is too. I'm not on the main Cord Cutters news page. I forgot about that. I went to one of the articles, which is this How to Watch Adele One Night Only. I was just curious what that was all about. So, but it does have headings, okay?
Heading level 2. YouTube. Heading level 2. Heading level 2. Facebook. Heading level 2. Heading not found.
Okay, so it does have headings, and we went through some of them, and I can swipe back up to the previous ones. Now, let me go to a different website here. We're going to go to Mac Rumors, which is another one I like to read a lot. And by the way, we can go to our bookmarks, our favorites. I'm going to show you that later. But we can also just, anything we've visited recently or anything that's in our favorites or bookmarks, it's just as easy to start typing the first few letters of it and it's going to appear. So I do that about as often as I bookmark stuff. It just depends. I'll show you both and explain where I use them, one versus another. But this address bar is also a search bar. Okay, so if I go in...
Start address, cordcuttersnews.com, secure address, text field is editing, https://www.cordcuttersnews.com/how-to-hyphen-to-hyphen-watch-hyphen-Adele-1-9-only-source equals home selected.
All right, and the reason...
to access misspelled words.
The reason I let it read all that instead of interrupting it is because I wanted it to get to the very last thing it said, which I don't know if you even noticed it because of everything that it was saying, but it said selected. When you double tap on this address bar, the entire URL is already, or whatever's in that address bar, is already selected. There is no need for you to delete anything. You can just start typing. If you do delete, it will instantly delete the entire selection, which is everything in the edit field, but you don't even need to. There's a voice button beside the address bar, so you can use your voice to do searches. And again, I want to stress, this is not only an address field, this is a search field. What that means is you can search the web without having to visit a search engine. You don't have to go to google.com to do your searches. You can type in here whatever you want to type. You set your default search engine under settings and Safari, and then it'll use that. It will use that default search engine to search. So if I start typing something like best Thanksgiving recipes, Messed up somewhere here. I know it. There. Okay, best Thanksgiving recipes. It's already trying to load what it thinks I might want. That's why you might hear that clicking. Hear that? Now, if I tap up on top, I've already got search result matches.
Best Thanksgiving recipes. Google search. Best Thanksgiving cancel. Google search. Best Thanksgiving recipes 2021. Best Thanksgiving recipes of all time.
See, so I've got all these different, probably more, but all these different search result suggestions. I can double tap one to choose it, or I can just press return to search for exactly the phrase that I typed. But I'll go ahead and choose one up here.
Best Thanksgiving recipes. https://w.
All right, so we loaded that on Google.
Google link banner landmark.
My headings in the rotor will take me from search result to search result.
Search modes. Heading level ads. Heading level search results. Heading level 1. Recipes. Heading level 2.
If I want to see more about that, I can swipe right.
About this result. Love and Lemons. Link. Rated 5.0 out of 5. Link 9. Link 1 hour 10 minutes. Link. The Modern Proper. Link. Rated 5.0 out of 5. Link.
And I don't know what...
More content available.
Let's go down to the next one.
Explore 1. Web results. Heading level 2.
Okay, that was on... Okay, here are the web results.
The 69 best Thanksgiving recipes. Bon appetit. Heading level 3. Link. People also ask. Top stories. Heading visual stories. Head web results. 20 of Grandma's best Thanksgiving recipes. Vertical line. All recipes. Heading left Thanksgiving recipes. NYT cooking. The New York Times. Ads. Heading 20 of Grandma's best Thanksgiving recipes. Vertical line. All recipes. Heading level 3.
Let's do that.
20 of Grandma's best Thanksgiving recipes. Vertical line. All recipes. Heading level 3. Link.
And it's
web page loaded.
It's ready. Now, I want to show you something else that we heard a minute ago too.
Scoop of Mac address, allrecipes.com, secure, text field.
All right, you heard that it said secure. You're going to know by touching the address bar whether a particular website is secure or not secure. And what that means is there's a feature called an SSL certificate. SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer. It means that the developer of the website has a proper certificate that is validated every year, that ensures that their website is legitimate, that it's doing what it says that it will do, that if you're making purchases...
Screen recording in progress. Close the dial.
Sorry. That if you're making purchases... you can trust the transactions are secure. And it's a good idea to visit websites that are secure. Now, every once in a while you'll run into one that's not. That doesn't automatically make it a phishing scheme or a malicious website, okay? There are still plans out there. As a matter of fact, the web host that Trainer Cliff and I both use, the one that we recommend to others, and the one that if you get web design services through TTJ, we're going to go with this host and use it for you. They still sell plans without SSL because some people want the least expensive plan they can possibly buy, and they feel, well, if I'm not selling products on my website, if I'm just doing a sort of about me kind of website, a single page site or something, then the user really doesn't have to be worried about what they're going to get or not get because they're not doing anything but visiting my site. So, I'll save a little money. I don't need an SSL certificate. There are still people who subscribe to that way of thinking. I don't recommend it because it does affect how you show up in search results if you don't have an SSL certificate. And it does sort of put a bad image in people's mind just hearing that not secure, thing. And I have a feeling that someday SSL will become a requirement for all websites. I don't know that. Okay. I have nothing to, go by on that, but I just think that will be the case. So I recommend to my customers, get the SSL certificate, buy the plans that include it or add one on. But I'm just saying that to say that not every website automatically, just because it says not secure, is necessarily a bad website. I know personally, at least one one or two businesses in our community who don't have SSL on their websites, and so they show up as not secure, but I know factually that they are legitimate websites. The question really comes down to if it's not a business that you've heard of, if it's not something you can put your finger on it, if you go into a store, and it's a local mom and pop shop, and it's, Harry's Cafe or, whatever, okay? Jenny's Baked Goods, all right? If Jenny tells you go to jennysbakedgoods.com and you go there and it's not secure, you're probably all right because Jenny told you that was her website. You trust Jenny. You know her. You go way back, and so it's all good. But if you randomly come across a website that is not secure, you may want to think twice before doing anything important on that website, sharing any personal data, that kind of thing. I think it's a really good idea to visit secure websites. I'm glad that Apple shows us with the lock icon and tells us with VoiceOver.
Address, allrecipes.com, secure, text field.
I'm glad
Double tap to edit.
that we get to know that. I think that's good information to know. All right, so we're on All Recipes, which wasn't really where I intended to go initially, but I thought this website sounded good because it's got 20 of grandma's favorite Thanksgiving recipes or whatever.
Canvas Bar tab. View recipe. This link opens in a new tab. Link.
All right, so it tells you
View recipe.
if you want to view the recipe, you tap on that link or double tap with VoiceOver, and it's going to open up in a new tab.
The ultimate old-fashioned sausage stuffing. This recipe by Gord Reed. Link is perfect for a large 10 to 12 pound turkey. The dish features a plethora of savory flavors from onion, celery, and fresh herbs, but it also has a hint of sweetness thanks to the addition of 2 diced apples.
That sounds really good. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bookmark this page. So how do we do that? Well, let's go down to the bottom of the screen. There's a couple ways to do it.
Toolbar, share button.
It's in the share sheet, but also it's in the bookmarks.
Show bookmarks button.
Actions available. If I double tap on that button, it's going to bring up my bookmarks. But if I long press it,
dismiss context menu.
I have a context menu.
Add to reading list. Add bookmark button.
And I'm going to say add bookmark. And I'll show you guys the other way too, because Share has a lot of cool things in it. We can add to bookmarks. We can directly add to favorites, which is a subfolder within bookmarks. You can have many, many folders within bookmarks to help organize things. So favorites is just one of them. You can add to the reading list, which is a place where you can add various articles and anything that you want to come back and read. You can even download them for offline reading if you want to. Share menu even allows you to add a website as an icon to your home screen. All right, you can add your favorite websites directly to the home screen as icons, right alongside your other app icons. You can print the website. Of course, you can send it to other people in many different formats or a couple different formats, by messages, mail, and so forth. So there are added to notes. You can add a link to your website to a note, right? So a lot of things in that share menu. So that's a great point, Lynn, and we will show that. But yes, I've done it this short way. And I'm just going to choose Add Bookmark.
Add bookmarks for 3 tabs button.
Now notice that I have 3 tabs open, and to the left was a button to add bookmarks for all 3 of those tabs at once.
Add bookmarks for 3 tabs button.
I don't want to do that, but I do want to do this.
Add bookmark button.
Which is the current tab, so I'll double tap that.
Text field is editing 20 of Grandma's best Thanksgiving recipes. Vertical line, all recipes. Insertion point at end.
That's an edit field where
the rotor to access misspelled words.
I could change the name of that if I didn't like that name, but I'm going to let it alone.
Save button.
To the left is the save button. To the left of that
add bookmark heading
is the title heading.
Cancel button.
And the cancel button.
Vertical scroll cancel.
If I go to the right,
add save text field clear text button.
The clear text button to remove the entire name and then retype something. Again, I don't want to do that.
https://www.
The web address to what it's saving.
Location heading.
And remember I said you can have more than one folder in your bookmarks.
Favorites.
I want to let it alone. If I want to change it, I can double tap.
All recipes. Favorites.
But I really want to leave it right where it is, okay? So
all recipes. Page settings. All locate. Cleared text save. R.
We're just, sorry.
Add bookmark. Head save text field.
Here we go.
Is editing. 20 of gram. Save button. Save. Skip to content in page link banner.
And it's done. So it's now saved to my bookmarks, and that's how easy it is to bookmark something, or add it to your reading list. And then down at the bottom, as Lynn said, we have
Toolbar tab. Show bookmark. Share button.
share.
Action. Share. 20 of Grandma's best Thanksgiving recipes. Allrecipes.com. Heading. Actions available.
Always listen for that actions available, because that means right where I'm at, where it says the title of this page that I'm sharing, 20 of Grandma's favorite recipes, whatever. If I swipe up or down,
Options.
there's the choice. In this case, it's options
Activate default.
and activate. That same thing happens when you share a photo, by the way, or a group of photos. You get this choice to say options. And what it does is it allows you, in this case, to choose the format. Am I going to share this as a website, or am I going to share it as a PDF? Because I can even do that. And sometimes there's other options, but usually those two are available for this kind of text. And I would also point out, in photos, that options button allows you to exclude the location from your photos if you don't want people to know the location, and among other things. So it's always good to check that out, okay? But we're in this share menu, and here's, my sharing suggestions.
Close button. Jessica, Megan, Rick, Kath, Fred, Corey, Laurel, Janie, Carson, Holly, Pat, K, Kids, Chat, AirDrop button.
Then I get to my sharing, like AirDrop.
Messages, Mail, Zoom, Facebook, Notes, Reminders, Dropbox, Paprika 3 button.
That's a recipe manager.
News button. Books button. Food Network but more button. Copy button.
Here's some of the options we talked about.
Add bookmarks button. Add to favorites button. Find on page button. Add to home screen button. Add to reading list button. Markup button. Print button. Print with HP. Save to Dropbox. Download file. Edit actions. Edit actions.
All right,
button.
and I'm just going to get out of that
Skip to content.
with a 2-finger scrub. So that's the share sheet. That's the share menu. And of course, you have back and forward at the bottom. The other thing you have is this tabs button that brings up all my open websites. Now, I want to show you that everything here also can be long pressed. We already long pressed the bookmarks button. We saw what that could do. I'm not sure if we can long press share. I might try it, but I know we can long press
Toolbar. Back button. Double tap and hold to open. Dismiss context menu button.
When you double tap and hold on back, it brings up your history.
Google.com/search ? How to watch Adele on home vertical line cord cutters news. Mac rumors. Apple News.
See, that's my history, okay?
Dismiss context menu. Skip to.
And if I long press the tabs button. Now, first of all, if I double tap the tabs button, it's going to bring up the every tab, basically every website that's opened in a separate tab that I have. In which case, I think it said I had 3 of them. But if I long press it,
Toolbar. Tabs button. Double tap and hold for more tab options. At dismiss context menu button.
let's see what they are.
New tab button. New private tab button. Move to tab group button. Close this tab button. Close all 3 tabs button. Selected 3 tabs button. Private button. Private select close this tab. Move to tab group button. Collapsed.
Okay.
Double tap to expand.
Lots of cool options here. One of the most important ones that we like to drive home for people is close all tabs.
Close this tab. Close all 3 tabs button.
You could have double tapped on the tabs button and gone individually through and seen all the tabs you had open, and you could swipe up or down on one and choose close, and you could do it that way. But, if you have a whole bunch of tabs open, this is a great way to quickly close all your tabs.
Close all 3 tabs. Alert. Are you sure you want to close all open tabs? Close all 3 tabs.
Okay.
Favorites.
And I'm left on my start page, which I'll talk about. So you have the ability, if you choose to do so, also to enable automatic tab closing, which I do have enabled. And I have it very short. If I don't use a tab for 24 hours, for one day, it's going to close that tab for me. Because I don't like to have a whole bunch of tabs open. But that is one of the features there by long pressing the tabs button. Another is the ability to add to a tab group. Now, what is a tab group? All right, so let me give you a real practical example.
Show all.
Let's suppose that we are doing something. We're taking a trip, and we need to visit the website for an airline or train travel to that location. We need to visit a hotel website. We're also visiting websites for nearby restaurants and attractions in the area, so we have some things to do while we're there. And all of these types of things that all relate to this one trip that we are taking. By creating a tab group, we can keep them organized in one group. So later on, we can go back and revisit that tab group, and it has all those websites in it. So when you saw add to tab group, okay, that's what we have. Now, currently, I only have 2 tab groups. I have the one that just says,
Favorites.
sorry, I got out of that.
Bruce.
But it said 3 tabs, because that's what I had open. And then there was a private one, which I don't have, but I could enable it if I wanted to, and it would create a private browsing experience where as soon as I disable the private browsing, or as soon as I close the tab, it is removed permanently from history. So it is not keeping track of what I visit at all if it's a private browser mode. So that's a little about tabs and the tab groups. I've shown you that all of these have additional context options. Even the address bar.
Address. Collapse. Activate. American map. Privacy. Address. Siri suggestion. From VoiceOver in the address. Search or enter. Collapse. Activate.
So I can collapse this with a swipe up or down and then double tap on that. And there'll be more options depending on what website I'm on. Right now, I've closed all my tabs. And so what I have now is just the start page, which can be customized. There's an edit button at the bottom to customize it, but basically, just to show you.
173 block trackers. In the last 7 days, Safari has prevented 173 trackers from profiling you and hidden your IP address from known trackers.
That's really good to know. This is the privacy report that I have enabled on the start page.
Heading not found.
What else do we have?
American Master Mainlist.org group. Nintendo Switch. Hot Cocoa Bombs. Page 1 of 3. IEEE SpaceX webs.
So it has my favorites. It has recently visited. It has my reading list. It has shared with you, which are websites that other people share with me in messages. All of this stuff appears here on the start page, and I can customize it if I want. The last thing being, I think, the privacy report that I just mentioned. We'll just go to the website I was originally going to go to, which is Mac Rumors, to show you that I can also, I can go in here. My favorites are bookmarks. Some of them are showing up right here on the start page, or I can do this.
Toolbar. Show bookmarks. Show bookmarks.
And there's a
Jim's FH toolbar. Edit button.
At the bottom is an edit button if I want to edit my bookmarks, but
Verticals 120 of Grandma's Best Thanksgiving Recipes vertical.
Last one is the one we just added, and
voter registration application. 50 scary good soups for October.
There's all of my bookmarks, favorites. I just double tap on one, and it takes me there. But I also want to show you that really typing it in.
Bookmarks, favorites, head done button.
Hit done. If I'd have chosen a bookmark or favorite, it would have automatically closed the bar, then the favorites menu too, when it took me to the website. But I want to show you it's just as easy because I've used Mac Rumors.
Address, search or enter address. Text field is editing. Search or enter website name.
So
Insertion point at start.
If I just type an M.
Monkey type, monkeytype.com. A. Mac Rumors, Apple News and Rumors.
There it is. I reach up.
Google search selected. Mac Rumors.
Double tap.
Safari, skip to content.
And it loaded it. So I didn't even have to type more than 2 letters, and it was telling me what it was going to, the top hit, meaning the one that it thinks I want, the one that either I've visited most frequently or is most popular, whatever. And Mac Rumors is, I don't know if it's even in my bookmarks because I always just visit it this way. I only needed 2 letters and it found it. Monkey type was something my kids were doing, but that second letter got it for me. Now I can navigate by headings here.
Apple's home services head departs company after 2 years. Heading left. Apple defends its ads. Hyper debuts 15-port dock that supports 3 4K displays. Heading level 2. Link. Article. Landmark.
And the way that Mac Rumors is, I can read that right here. But if I double tap it,
Web page loaded. Supports up to 3 4K displays on larger Mac machines. Address. Macro collapse. Page settings. Collapse. Activate.
I thought this would have a reader mode, but
Page settings. Show top address bar. Privacy report. Website settings. Request desktop. High toolbar. Show reader button.
yep, there it is, show reader. And if we go into reader, let me show you what this does.
Hyper debuts 5th address. Refresh. Collapse. Activate.
There's that down there's the collapsing of the toolbar. So we went to page settings.
Add selected. Page settings button.
Okay, and we chose to show the reader mode. Now what this does, this is really cool. This takes away, it literally removes for you while you're in reader mode. You can get back out of reader mode, of course, but it strips away all of the extra content like ads,
I love that.
extra
Yeah.
links, all of this stuff. And what you're left with is just this beautiful rendering of the actual text and images of what the article is that you're reading. So this is not available on all websites, but it is available in cases where you have articles, news, blogs. And so if I tap on the top,
Hyper debuts 15-port dock that supports 3 4K displays. Heading level 1. Article. Landmark.
if I swipe right, it's just going to start reading the article, or I can do a 2-finger swipe down to automatically have it read. And so, like, I can just read this,
Julie Clover. Link. Monday, November 15th, 2021, 10:02 a.m. PST. Hyper today announced the launch of its latest dock, a 15-port version that is designed for the 13, 14, 15, and 16-inch MacBook Pro models. The HyperDrive 4K multi-display docking station. Link. Supports up to 3 4K displays.
So you see, there was nothing else there. It just started reading the article right away, and it works great. And I really, really love reader mode. So that's something else I wanted to show you.
Toolbar. Back. Button. Back.
So I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. God bless you, everybody.